Mitch, and this is IGN News. ESPN President John Skipper does not consider esports a sport, he mentioned during the Code Media Series New York conference on Thursday, categorizing it as a competition along with strategy board games. Quote, "It's not a sport, it's a competition. Chess is a competition, checkers is a competition," Skipper said, when prompted for his opinion about Amazon's impending $1 billion buyout of live streaming service Twitch. "Mostly, I'm interested in doing real sports," he said.
Wait, did he just say real sports? Real sports? Then why exactly are esports actually being broadcasted on his channels? That's right, esport events are actually being broadcasted on ESPN. Examples can include the Dota International and the Heroes of the Dorm Collegiate Tournament that were both shown on ESPN2 and ESPN3. Now, what exactly are esports? And why exactly do people care about these things? Why are people going to watch these events, and why are they showing up on ESPN? What better way to show what esports are than to give some actual examples of what esports look like? Here are some examples.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! But no Archons! Where's his Archons? He needs to get those in there! He gunned down the Archons before it was time. And the Void Rays come out! And Archon goes in! Another Archon goes in! Get in there! Oh my god, what are we seeing? This is madness! Oh my god, he's gonna kill this army! Oh, the PCs are all going down! I can't believe what I just saw! Oh my god!
Now we're going to see open wounds on the Howl. There's the Gale as well. Sanshin coming to try and help. Bane's there. Does not have Fiend's Grip, and we will see the gyro drop and a Sprout! Oh, beautiful initiation of Hani! Caught them both with the waiting rip and the coil, and No Tail, who had about as bad a start as a Chin could hope, or could hate.
In the following presentation, I would like to talk about the history of esports. I would also like to talk about the economic advantages and the economic implications that esports bring to society. And finally, I would like to finish up this presentation by showing off different ways that esports are becoming validated in society and how they're slowly becoming accepted. Now, we all know that money is an important thing in the world that we live in. That's why, in 2014, the winners of the eAthlete team, Newbie, won over $5 million, taking in 46% of the $10.9 million prize pool. The 5 members of the team did the impossible. They became the first esport athletes to earn over $1 million. Compared to other more traditional forms of athletics, winners of the Dota 2 International took home over $1 million each, with the closest comparable victor being the winner of the Open Championship. What's even more interesting is that if you take the earnings from the winners of the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, and the World Series, the total amount would still not be enough to over-encompass the earnings of the winners of the Dota International. Now, we're all just watching this video to get a better understanding of what esports are. For us to better understand sports, we need to figure out what the word sport means. In addition, we would also need to figure out what the term athletics means. To better understand the term sport, I read a book called Sport in Ancient Times, and while reading this book, I came across the sociologist Norbert Elias. Norbert Elias is known for saying, prior to the Industrial Revolution, the term sport did not exist. Many common ball sports that are played today were actually started in the 19th century, with soccer, football, basketball, and baseball all being invented during the 1800s. If the phrase sport is such a brand new word that has existed for only about 200 years, who's to say what the term sport even really means? If the phrase itself is so young, what defines a modern sport set in a technological era? What sets a sport in this post-digital society? To better understand what quantifies as an actual sport, I looked into the historian known as Alan Gutman. Alan Gutman stated 5 different traits that a modern sport should have before it is considered a sport. To start off with, he said that a sport needs secularism. In addition, he said there was also an equal opportunity to compete. He also said there needs to be rationalization, quantification, and a quest for records. We can apply these 5 traits to esports, starting off with secularism. Most, if not all, esports are actually secular in nature, with many esports having no affinities or affiliations towards any religious practice. Furthermore, there is an equal opportunity to compete, as long as the competitors have access to a standardized computer. Furthermore, there's rationalization when it comes to the understandings and to the strategies that are used within these games. Furthermore, there is also quantification in various esports that can be seen when it comes to the time management and the resource management given within these games. Finally, there are also a quest for records, because these teams compete around the world to become the best of the best and to reap the rewards of becoming champions. Now that we know the definition of sport, what about the definition for athletics? The Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of athletics is sports, games, and exercises that require strength and skill. What better way to look at strength and skill than in our muscles? Our muscles have 2 primary types: gross motor function muscles and fine motor function muscles. Gross motor function muscles allow the movements of our extremities, such as our arms and our legs. But fine motor function muscles allow us to do various things, such as solve problems or create human things, such as culture or music. These fine motor function muscles are the ones found in our fingertips, and I believe that esports are also sports that refer to our muscles, but these sports focus less on the gross motor functions that our primary muscles in our arms and legs do, but focus instead on the fine motor function precision found in our fingers and with our dexterity. Looking back in the history of esports, we can see some of the earliest esports actually began in the United States during the 1980s, with Space Invader competitions being held by Atari. But modern esports in its current structure actually began in South Korea. StarCraft and its expansion, StarCraft Brood War, became an international craze, but it first became famous in the country of South Korea. Why is that? In an interview with the South Korean-based filmmaker and writer Nick Loomis, he stated, "Many Koreans easily become obsessed with activities or games that test their ability to think and react rapidly, and excelling in such activities for competition during youth is highly encouraged." He further stated, "This can range from math to science to the Rubik's Cube, and while StarCraft generally is not a recommended pursuit, it falls under a similar obsessive mindset." In addition, for South Korea being a cultural hotspot for StarCraft to grow, in reports from CNN, over 90% of South Korean households were connected to high-speed broadband, and that in 2010, there were over 25,000 internet cafes. In relation to the population of South Korea at the time, there was nearly an internet cafe for every 2,000 people. This accessibility for fast networking allowed Korea to flourish in the digital scene. Aside from StarCraft, there are many brand new games coming into the esports genre. Some of the biggest new international hits include League of Legends and Dota 2. Other forms of successful esports can include the fighting game genre, with the ever-famous worldwide tournament known as EVO. Other examples of how esports are becoming accepted into society can be seen in the athletic scholarships that are being brought forth for students in universities. In 2014, Robert Morris University became the first American university to offer esports scholarships for League of Legends players. And in January 2015, the University of Pikeville became the second school to offer similar esports scholarships. Surprisingly enough, the winners of the Heroes of the Dorm tournament were actually from UC Berkeley in California, and the students of Berkeley also won thousands upon thousands of dollars of scholarship funds. In addition to this, in 2013, the United States government also recognized the League of Legends players as a sport and offered P1A athletic visas for certain foreign competitors. Despite the qualms of ESPN president John Skipper, there have been various traditional athletes that actually support esports and can see very many similarities between the two genres. Such examples can include Jeremy Lin and Chris Cluey.
I see it in a lot of ways similar to basketball, just like a 5-on-5 game where you kind of have to work together and utilize each other's strengths and synergizing everything together. The teamwork and the trust and the sacrifice, those are all true for every single team sport.
My name is Chris Cluey. I am a League of Legends player.
Chris Cluey is an NFL punter who spent most of his career with the Minnesota Vikings, and he's known for his activism in gaming.
For me, esports is really this burgeoning culture of actual sports, in that you have young adults competing in a team-oriented fashion. And what we're seeing with esports right now is that beginning part where it's growing in popularity and people are starting to realize, hey, this is something I can watch, this is something I can be entertained by, and this is something that I can do. I can play League with my friends, and then when I watch the professionals do it, it's really fun because I know what they're doing.
Even more surprisingly, the term esport itself was actually recently added to the official dictionary website at dictionary.com. To better understand the comparison between esports and more traditional sports, we can compare the viewership between the different genres. By looking at this chart, we can see that even though the Dota 2 International and the League of Legends Finals are relatively new, existing around for less than a decade, they've garnered similar attention to that of the NBA playoffs and the World Series. To delve even further into this issue, we can look at a 2-year span between the two genres. Within a 2-year span in the Super Bowl, from the second to the fourth Super Bowl, it increased by 13%. But within the same amount of time, within a 2-year span, the international from 2012 to 2014 went from over 567,000 viewers, from going from the thousands all the way to over 20 million unique viewers, an increased spike of over 3,000%. This 3,000% increase is most likely attributed thanks to the mass communication offered by the internet. The common access towards the World Wide Web and websites such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram easily help people communicate at fast speeds that were impossible before. The ability to communicate via social media is one of the reasons why that esports are growing faster than any other form of sport in history.
Gaming's the biggest entertainment industry in the world. So if you're a star, you are potentially one of the biggest stars in the world.
So if that, like everything else with computers, grows exponentially or whatever, then 5 or 10 years could be a big step, actually.
Changing mindsets is never easy, so it's going to take a while. When the gamers now become parents, we will be supportive of our kids playing, and I think that's really when everything will boom.
This is really that emergent point where a sports league forms, is that the barrier to entry is very, very simple. It's for baseball, you get a bat and a glove. For football, you get some pads and a ball. For soccer, you just get something you can kick around. I mean, it's very, very easy to do. With League, you just get a halfway decent computer, then you just download the game and play. As kids grow up who are comfortable with video games, who have grown up playing video games and understand that this is a socially acceptable thing to do, those kids then become young adults, then become old adults, and that's how the world changes. So that's why I think esports is going to be a very legitimate sports scene in the upcoming years.
As esport athletes would often say, GL, HF, or good luck, and have fun.